Coming up this week, hopefully we can spill some tea today. All people get to see is the tip of an iceberg. Relationships are not pretty all the time. All watch Corsica. You all saw how crazy it was. People have been slain.
I have some questions for you.
The healing part hasn't been as public. And that is where things started to break down. This one subject has been the hardest thing we've been through. It can be a beautiful mess. I've never felt jealous before. I don't know who's going to walk through that bloody door. Are you that insecure? It almost doesn't make sense. Monogam-ish. Because I thought, wow, my life's crumbling apart around me.
On TV.
On TV. I was like, damn. You are listening to the Son of a Bitch podcast.
With your hosts, Christina Lennon and Joel Mignot.
Oh, we are back for another week and another episode of Son of a Bitch podcast.
We are indeed.
I am with Christina Lennon. Say hello.
Hello.
This week, we are drinking
Peach and lychee
Peach and Lychee Spritz.
Lychee.
Lychee. I've already had two.
You have to be careful with your...
Oh, yeah. I'm wearing a cobweb. So.
No, I don't mean that. I mean your intestines.
Oh,
after
what?
what you did to me yesterday. we went to Morrison's yesterday.
Oh, you're going to hold this against me for the rest of my life.
Yesterday and Joel farted past wind.
I thought, let me do something polite and let me pass wind before we exit the car. Hopefully it would have, vanished by the time we got back. But it actually accelerated the smell particles.
We went shopping, came back to the car, and both of us, as we got in, were like... It's the most horrific, pungent smell ever.
And the heat had, fermented the shit particles.
Joel, that is just how you smell normally. I think you just...
Do you know when you actually step away from your own stink and then return to it? I was like, fuck me.
Thank you.
I'm rotten.
Exactly.
But I blame the heat in the car, fermenting.
Yeah, I do. I just blame your
rotten ass.
bowels. Yeah. It was horrific.
Well, I am your son, Mum. I must have got it from somewhere.
It wasn't me, not my side. He only got the good looks from my side. So Made in Chelsea's back on TV. How are you feeling about that?
Wow, girl. I mean, it's been a wild ride. Hopefully we can spill some tea today and inform you all on what is really going on. People have had loads of questions.
I mean, I've got questions.
Yeah, I'm bloody sure you do. As my mother. Is she okay?
I have some questions for you.
Do you know what? I get messages all the time in my inbox. And the thing is with the show, of course, we are showing our relationship, but all people get to see is the tip of an iceberg. We spend a couple of hours filming, but we live our lives every day, every minute, every moment. There's only so much you guys can see at home. It's hard to get the full scope and picture on such a short form of information.
Yeah.
So hopefully today we can uncover the real tea.
First of all, why did you even decide to do Made in Chelsea?
Obviously, when I met Robbie was already on the show, and us getting together, it was part of a condition, you are getting with me, this is a part of my life, and I would respect you if you were on the show with me, it's a condition. Yeah. So I was a bit hesitant to go on at first, but then I was just like, do you know what? Why not? I think for me, what I've always, treasured is vulnerability and honesty. And I was at a stage in my life where I was like, why not just do it? We are a young gay couple on a straight show. And for me, being visible in that space is very important. So I was like, why the hell not?
So you had a message to push as well with
I think
an agenda.
The agenda is being ourselves. It's we are...
Representing.
Yeah, we're representing. I don't know, it's a weird one because you are being your authentic self, but then you are a persona and people see you as these characters. Does that make sense?
I think that's where the confusion comes in, because a lot of people think, is it scripted? Is it real?
Yeah.
And the truth is,
I want to say...
Obviously, it's real.
It's real, yeah. It's real, but...
The pain you are feeling is real.
The pain that you feel is real, but this is what I want to, tell people is you are filming about, your issues, but you're not filming about them in real time. You are going back to them.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
Some of it's real time, but most of it's...
Most of it. But it's like you're talking about what's already occurred most of the time. So that in itself has its own impact.
Because you heal from something, work through something,
Bitch.
and then whip that scab off.
The scab has, you know, been swifted off and the salt has been shoved in.
Yeah, you have to rehash it.
And that's hard on a relationship. And as well, when the show then airs, like,
You go through it again.
12 weeks later or whatever it may
Everyone's
be.
got an opinion.
Everyone's got opinion, and then you've got to relive the situation.
And I mean, that's part of why Robbie's not here, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think I was worried that everybody thinks that you speak for Robbie, but he's not here.
No.
And he's happy. We've all had a chat with Robbie.
Yeah, we spoke to Robbie.
And he's happy for you
To speak.
I think people don't realise that, you know, they see and they form opinions based on what do they see? A 30-second clip of it, and then they're like, oh, he's doing, and they have to try and they can't read between the lines, so they guess, and they're all guessing wrong. They're all supposing. We've heard everything from, you know, Robbie's the bad one, you're the bad one. Nobody's the bad one. You're just two people
Figuring shit out.
Yeah.
And so, like, let's set the scene here. Like, we obviously had expressed, you know, some interest in open relationships on the show previously, and then we go into Corsica, and then there Geronimo is with Jane.
So you hadn't met him before? That was one of the questions.
We hadn't met him before, and obviously he'd come with Jane, and Jane was invited by Miles, and they were previously on a Parisian TV reality show together. That was a similar concept. It was kind of like Love Island / Big Brother vibes. So they were used to the structure of reality TV. And so then when we met Geronimo, me and Robbie both found him attractive, and we were like, this is something interesting. We told the producers, like, let's explore this. Like, I obviously think they had some idea, like, what would happen.
Let's chuck an attractive male in the mix.
Like, hello. And that's when we brought on the queer specialist, the therapist. We asked production for that because we were like, we don't know what we're doing. We want to make sure this is represented in the most healthy, positive way on TV. I had my own reservations. I was, you know, I've had to work a lot on my sexual confidence and stuff, and like I really didn't want it to move too quick. But it moved very slowly. Like on the show, it looks like it moves so quickly.
Yeah,
but
you met, and that was
we're
it.
there
Wham bam.
That's
done.
it. We're there for 3.5 weeks with nothing to do, and so it moved very slowly, and it was nice. And we were checking in with our therapist and making sure Geronimo felt safe, making sure we all felt safe, and like step by step. There was like increments, like we learned how to warm up the room, for example, and that concept comes from making sure you lean on what your love languages are. For example, my love language is like acts of service, caretaking. So I was doing what I could do, and that was cooking, making sure, you know, the music was good, that everybody had a drink, and Robbie's was, you know, physical affection, and that's like making sure we're all interacting with each other, hugging.
I'm just seeing these like Robbie and Geronimo making out, and you just being the servant.
No, but this is the thing. This is the thing. Geronimo's was also acts of service, and like
that can get in the way, then, can't it?
No, I actually think it was a really positive thing for Robbie to see. Like Geronimo was cleaning up everything. Like he would literally clean all the tables. He'd make sure everything was, you know, clean after I'd cooked. So it was like we're actually working in a team to make sure we all felt comfortable and happy and safe, and everything was moving and valued. And that's the thing. That is the beauty about that situation. Is somebody else coming into your relationship can actually show you your shortfalls as a partner. I saw how Geronimo and Robbie were interacting, and that was a lot of physical affection, but respectfully. Love languages that I wasn't used to. Like, eye contact and caressing and all that stuff. Like, I could witness that and be like, wow, this is teaching me how I can do that for my partner. And vice versa for Robbie. That might sound simple.
Take out the bins.
But he saw how somebody else coming into the relationship and doing that for me was such big moment, and how it made me connect to him more easily and, brought down my barriers a little bit. That was a huge, learning curve.
So you both learn from from Geronimo how to love each other more.
Exactly. Right. So Geronimo came in, and actually it's quite funny how it happened, because he was the perfect catalyst, because he was strong in areas we were both weak in.
Right.
For each other. So it was like, oh, we've got this competition that comes into our healthy competition that comes into our relationship and shows us how to be better partners for each other. That's a huge bonus and a huge positive, and that's something that I will treasure forever, because from that situation moving onwards, me and Robbie have been better partners for each other. Our sex life has been better. Everything has been better. That's a positive.
That's a positive.
Yes.
All positive?
Not all positive, no, but this is the thing. I think whilst we're vulnerable young people that don't necessarily have the answers, and we're put on that stage, like, there's a lot of mind games that goes on, because you don't know what is going to happen next. Do you know what I mean? And that is where things started to break down, in my opinion. I think going into, consensual non-monogamy in that situation, my goal was to overcome my lack of confidence at times in sexual situations. So that was my goal. Like, as a gay man, like, I used to go out when I was single, and the only time I'd hook up with people was when I was drunk, and I think that's quite common for a lot of gay people.
It's common for a lot of straight people.
A lot of straight people. It's common, yeah. Like, people lack that confidence during intimacy because of trauma, because of what, I don't know, there's a whole host of reasons.
I'm sure for gay people that's worse, because there's the shame,
there's the
shame, lot of people feel shame.
There's also the culture. Gay culture is heavily leaning towards drugs and alcohol. So it's so easy to fall into that trap where you're like, hold up, I've not had sex with anybody sober. And that was where I was at before I got into this relationship. And so then for me to get into a relationship, let my guard down, fall in love with somebody, have sex with somebody often, regular, and understand what, positive, healthy sexual relationships look like. And then to try and figure what that looks like when somebody else comes into the situation, when I can't rely on drugs and alcohol. That was the barrier that I was trying to get over. That was a huge thing for me to overcome, and I overcame that, and I was so proud of myself for doing that. But then after that, that's where things started to, deteriorate a little bit, because I'd pushed myself to my limit to get to that point. I'd already exhausted my energy.
Your emotional energy.
My emotional energy to get to that checkpoint. And Robbie, up until that point, had been right by my side and been like, my biggest champion and supporter. Like, we can do this. I'm so proud of you. Like, we were in therapy together and pushing for, this end goal. But I think that's after that point, after we, warmed up the room and we were all together and we were all happy and we had this really beautiful intimate moment, I think that's where I kind of checked out a little bit, because I was like, okay, got the badge, done what I needed to do,
off we go,
exhausted myself, and then I was just like, right, where do we go from here? Because ultimately, let's
do some sightseeing.
Yeah, like, babes, let's go on a date. Me and you, Robbie, let's go on a date. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
but you see, it was an unnatural situation, because had that been like a holiday fling,
yeah,
you and Robbie would have gone off, done your own thing. But you couldn't.
Oh, no, we couldn't. And this is part of the problem. Like, we were in such a remote place. Like, we couldn't just call a taxi and go off here and there. Like, there was a beach and a few restaurants, and literally that was it. And the villa with everybody else. Everybody else has got their own shit going on. Like, you're in this villa living with all these people that are going through some fucking crazy shit, and you're trying to make sure you're okay, going through your own traumas. So it's like you're walking around and it's like one issue after
Dead
the
bodies
other.
here, there.
Literally, metaphorically, people have been slain left, right, and centre. Like, you all watched Corsica, you all saw how crazy it was. I was just like, let me make sure I'm okay.
Did we see everything?
Girl, I told you saw the tip of the iceberg. And this is the thing. I actually think what they saw on the show was more palatable.
Yeah.
Some people's behaviours was crazy. Really crazy. But I think back to my point with me and Robbie, I think things started to break down between us when I was just at the point where like I was so proud of myself, but I hadn't necessarily got that reassurance and that celebration and that like, wow, we did this. Let's pause and make sure you're okay. Like from there, Robbie had been injected with this drug, and like he, from all accounts, has told me like all he felt was magic. Like he was in an environment that he'd fantasized about his whole life. Like he wants to be a successful person. He was in this £20 million mansion, getting his best life, living his best life, like with his boyfriend, the person he loves. And we're experiencing something magical with this other person that's come in, and it's this big surprise. Like Robbie's just finished his university degree. Like
he proper relaxed.
Yeah, like everything was hanging out. Like he was like, bitch, I'm having the best time ever. But
you weren't quite there.
We weren't on the same page. Like I'd just got to one checkpoint and he'd finished the race and he was so happy with himself. And I was just like, oh, damn. So then this is where the huge issue came, because the limerence and the compersion that he was feeling are all such like amazing, intoxicating emotions. But for me, I was on a different page. Like I was just like, I'm so thankful that I've like done this. Now I just want to collect my thoughts and like process where we go from there. But this is the thing, when you are naive and you have never been in a situation.
You thought you'd be on the same like feeling, that amazing euphoric feeling.
Yeah, but
you weren't.
But I weren't. Like where Robbie was feeling compersion and all these amazing things, I then started to feel jealousy, because like I couldn't feel those things, because I was so happy with what I'd achieved, and that was hard to achieve, but it was little. I think what Robbie assumed was that once we opened that door, the door was open and we could just go in and out whenever we wanted. And I understand why, because that could be the case for some people, but it wasn't the case for me. That was the case for him. And so we were in this just weird space where it was like, I'm now telling you that I need you to like rein it in. But because he was on that liquid soup of, ecstasy, he struggled to hear what I was saying. And it just
floating around on his cloud.
Cloud
You're in the pits.
I was in the pits, and I was like, girl. And that's the thing. Like, we have such a strong relationship. We communicate all the time. Like, whilst we was in Corsica,
people are always saying they're doomed, that it was doomed from the beginning. But I think you've probably been through more than most straight relationships in a very short time.
This is the thing. We have a strong relationship. Our communication is 10/10. Like, people in Corsica were coming up to us like, I want a relationship like you. Harvey, Rez, like, all of these people were so, positive about our relationship. And if you ask them to this day, they still say great things. This one subject has been the hardest thing we've been through.
But it wasn't just because of the threesome kind of thing, or the throuple. No. It was because there was just, obviously it wasn't on your terms, it wasn't at your speed.
Exactly.
And you didn't get to really choose the person.
That's the thing. It's like, I think, Geronimo was an amazing person, but he wasn't my type per se. And so, like, yes, we did those things and it was beautiful and it was amazing, but ultimately, that's all it was to me. And to Robbie, he started to catch feelings for Geronimo because Geronimo was touching all those buttons that I was lacking. And so Robbie was just like, whoa, this is everything that I've been asking for. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So consensually, I was like, yeah, you can kiss, you can do whatever, like, that's fine. But it got to a point where I was like, hold up. Am I
You're
okay
in the
with
kitchen
this?
cleaning and then
This
like,
is the thing. There was
staring lovingly into each other's
was a
eyes.
moment that was exactly like that, and I was just like, do you know what? Like, I just want a bit of praise here from my boyfriend, and that's where I just started to feel like he'd failed me a little bit, and I felt the anchors that we'd spent so long digging and making the foundations for this beautiful house that we'd metaphorically made for ourselves had just started to crumble, because I was like, hello, nobody's here, like, what the hell, like, you're over there kissing this person, but he was in this soup of emotions, and I get that. So then the next day I was just like, this has to stop. Like, I'm going through something, please hear me out. And I felt terrible for doing that, because I don't want to be the person that's putting a stop to something that we both agreed to. But what I didn't agree to was being pushed to my limits. Whenever would I find myself in a situation where I'm in a £20 million mansion on a 3-week holiday with this beautiful man and my boyfriend, just focusing on getting to a point where we can safely experiment and do these things. Like, it's not your norm, and that's why it pushes your relationship to the extreme, because it's almost unnatural.
And it's funny because
tempting. It's tempting.
Everybody says, oh, it was Joel that wanted to do it and now he doesn't, and that you control him. But just because you came out with the first sentence on camera, they think, oh, it was his idea. That was something that was discussed.
It was our idea.
Exactly.
It's
but because
our
you
plan.
vocalised it on film, it's like, well, it was Joel's idea in the first place.
But that's the thing as well. Like, on camera, yes, I came across as the one leading the charge.
But that was just...
But that's just my confidence. That's how I roll. Do you know what I mean? And Robbie's a bit more reserved in those situations.
Unlike maybe other people, you are straight to the point.
I am straight to the point. I think when I know my point, this is the thing, it takes me a while to process things. And so, like, there was a moment where the joy started to turn into jealousy. And that was, I've never felt jealous before. And I was just, not like to that extent. I've never been jealous of somebody. Like, hello, like, I love my life. I've had a great life so far. Like, I've always been that bitch that's like, I'm happy. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm in my lane. I'm doing my shit. Even when shit goes wrong, like, I'm always like, whatever, I'm supposed to be on this path. I'll get through it. But I've never felt such emotions. And this is like the whole picture is like, every emotion you feel in that situation is heightened, which is a great thing. Like, I felt more alive than ever. I've never felt that alive, but at the same time, it was like too much. It was too much, because it was all just like, one minute you felt deep love, and then jealousy, and then empathy. And this is the thing. Like, Geronimo was really respectful to our relationship, and he is a great guy. It's just like, we as a couple weren't ready for that level of intensity.
Would you say that, because I think it's about contracting, Robbie will understand this, he'll like this.
Well, relationships are contracts.
Yeah, it's contract. And there's a difference between monogamy, open relationships. So are you looking for...
And polyamory.
And polyamory, yeah. Are you looking for an open relationship where you have the one night stand with somebody, come away, and it's not emotional or anything? Or are you wanting, like, a three-way relationship with somebody that stays. Because what you had in Corsica was the polyamorous situation.
It was leaning towards polyamory.
Exactly, where you're living together.
Yeah.
And that's not, I don't think that's what you particularly
that's
signed
where
up
I
for.
started to check out, because I was like, hold up, this is not what I asked for. The thing is, there's so many levels to open relationships, and the more you read into it, the more interesting it gets. I think ultimately, me and Robbie want to be our fully actualized selves. Like out of love, I want to be my authentic self, and out of love, I want him to be his authentic self. And so in our relationship, it's how does that fit together? How do our authentic selves
You don't know
fit
your
together?
own rules yet. You don't know
we're figuring
exactly
we're
what you want.
figuring it out on the fly. And this is the thing, when you go into a relationship and a situation like this, you have to be open to being hurt. And that's what real love is. It's tolerating a situation, and it's being patient in a situation, and it's being level-headed. And that's what I always try and remain to be. There's moments where I get taken out of that and I act stupid on camera or whatever, but ultimately that's what my form of love is. I want to give you that space to be yourself, and I want to give myself the space to be myself too. Robbie has expressed to me that he is more polyamorous, and I've expressed that I'm maybe more monogamish. And so that situation...
Monogamish.
Monogamish, which is basic. Monogamish basically means that I'm happy to have a one night stand, but you, my partner, you are my primary person that I love.
Get your love from.
And that I'm happy to be with.
And affection.
Yeah.
And the other's just fun.
And yeah, the third is just fun.
But he would prefer
Robbie's...
two husbands?
Robbie thinks that love is, expansive.
Which it is.
It is. And there's all types
but
and all
relationships
forms of love.
don't need to be.
They don't need to be, no. Not the one that you're laying in bed with and share a house with and all that. To me, that's how I think anyway. But
Robbie wants a house share.
Robbie thinks... Do you know what? I can see the beauty in how he thinks. I know that... I think my therapist put it to me very interestingly, because I was like, in therapy, I was like, show me an example of, a public throuple that is doing so well, and show me an example of how I'm supposed to be feeling secure in a throuple. Like, relationships are hard enough with just two people. Like, imagine throwing another one in there. The communication goes up, like all these things go up, the emotions are heightened, like you have to worry about, do you know what I mean? Like, we've got enough going on in our life, society makes you work like a dog, like you've got your family to worry about, you've got your friends, like I don't need another man. Do you know what I mean? But I value stability. And my therapist was like, just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean that it's not in existence. Just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean that you won't feel more secure in that situation. Monogamy in itself is a structure that is formed on the basis of an illusion of security. Do you know what I mean? That security is ripped away as soon as somebody cheats on you. Don't be force-fed this narrative that you can't feel safe and secure in whatever relationship type you choose to have. And so that's something that I'm now coming to terms with. Is like,
but it doesn't mean that you also have to do it. It's not for everybody.
Exactly. And this is the
just
thing.
Just because nobody's seen it yet doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just doesn't mean that you have to be the one to do it either.
But how can you know unless you try? And that's where I'm at. It's like, why not try? But try at my own pace.
Yeah. Not on TV.
Not on TV. And this is the thing. I think one of the questions somebody sent me was, do you think it's important to keep some of things private? And I think now I think it is, because I cannot expect people that, run this TV show to understand something that I can't even understand. I don't understand the situation that I'm in.
Joel and Robbie want a threesome. Here's a guy. Crack on.
And that's great, but at the same time, like, we don't have the answers, and it's ugly, it's beautiful, it's like all these things, but it takes its toll, it really does. And so, and you're also at the mercy of the viewers. The comments, like, this goes against the grain.
Yeah.
Big time. The show's trying to be a little bit more diverse, which I rate. I think the more diversity, the better. Like, look at me. Why am I on a show like that? It almost doesn't make sense. But it does.
Yeah. Well, it does because you're there.
Yeah, exactly.
You do mix with those people and above those people.
Oh, yeah, I mix with everybody. But that's the thing. You can put me in any situation and I will find people that I like.
So do you actually hang out with the cast members?
Off screen? There's a few that I absolutely adore. Like, I love Liv Bentley. Like,
you can't really say who you adore.
Of course I can. Go on. Of course I can. I think more so, like, you know, when we were in Corsica, we all really did connect. Like, we are a dysfunctional family. Some people do have the guard up because you don't know what somebody else is bringing to the table. And the healing's actually really interesting. And how we got to this stage is through learning from Geronimo, being better partners for each other, showing up in the ways that we both needed it more, and finding a new form of love that was even more deep and even more exciting for the two of us, and knowing each other to a deeper level. Like,
so you're in a good place.
We're not fully healed. There's
You still don't want to see Geronimo.
No, do you know what? I've got a lot of love for Geronimo, and I could see him now in a platonic way. Robbie still has feelings for him. I can respect that, whatever. But I'm more secure within myself because I know how to love better, and I'm receiving a better form of love. Like, Robbie's waking up on a morning and he's trying to take care of me in the ways that I've taken care of him, which I've never seen before. Like, it might sound stupid, but even seeing somebody want to wash the dishes for you and, you know, help you around the house to make your life easier so then you can work. And, you know, he's got all this time off now and he's dedicating himself to being a better partner. And I respect that. And that makes me love him more.
But where you're at now is a good relationship. It was so funny when you said to Freddy, he said, "Oh, I'm in a dilemma now," and you were like, "No, there isn't a dilemma. He's not coming." I was like, "Yes, you stand up for yourself."
Yeah,
but some people are like, that's controlling. That's that. But this is your frigging life.
It's my frigging life.
If you don't control it, other people will for you.
And this is the thing.
I think that is an important fact, is you've got to stand up for yourself in that situation.
Of course.
And for your relationship.
Yeah, you've got to speak up. And that's the thing. In that moment, I was like, hold the hell up. Everything that I've worked so hard for, everything that the younger me, you know, has craved, all these traumas that I've overcome, I'm not going to let somebody come in and dictate how I'm about to lose the things that I've worked so hard for. I'm not, so I'm going to put my foot down. I'm going to make Robbie see the light, which he did. And, like, it was just a moment, like, let's take ourselves away from that and, like, collect our thoughts and heal and let the dust settle. Like, sometimes that's all you need. But to be constantly put in the firing line, of course you're going to act out and put.
Yeah.
I was like, girl.
So what would you say has been the biggest lesson from that whole experience?
Consensual non-monogamy is something that should be practiced. Maybe in a more private setting for me and Robbie, because this was a situation that we didn't have the answers for. And I don't necessarily think it was the safest space to try it out the first time. Part of being vulnerable on TV takes you to a space that you are, you know, very sensitive to things. And it just...
And then hearing people's thoughts online is...
It can really...
horrible.
It can really damage your mental health. And I would actually do it again.
Not
because
on TV.
Not on TV, but I'd do it again because what we've actually learned from it has been amazing and it's been healing. And now, as the show's coming out from London, is where things started to deteriorate. And so that's the hardest part for me to watch. I haven't even watched episode 1 of London because I'm like, I can't. That just reminds...
Because you were... I could tell by your face, you were like...
Yeah.
I mean, I laugh because we laugh, we don't cry. But I can tell that you were in pain.
I was in pain, bitch. Because I thought, wow, my life's crumbling apart around me.
On TV.
On TV. I was like, damn. But it wasn't either of our fault. Like, we were just on a ride. And now the dust has settled. Like, you can really just sit, and both of us sit and we look at each other and we're like, what the fuck was that? Like, that was actually crazy. But you just go along for the ride, and then afterwards you're like, oh shit, that was messy as hell. But that's why I'm thankful for it though, because like we were now in a situation where it's like, okay, we've learnt that, let's collect ourselves, we're in a good place now. There's still some more healing to do, but like, we're in this together, we've learnt loads of stuff, like, do you know what I mean? And I'd still do consensual non-monogamy again. I'm not here yet for a polyamorous relationship. I'll put that on the record.
And you don't want loads of inboxes from loads of skellies.
I mean, they're welcome.
But I think it was Dr. Tara from Maths
Yes.
said that the way things are going in 10 years' time, a lot of relationships will be monogamish.
And I'm not surprised. My thing is...
Just because it's not my generation's way of doing things.
Yeah.
People are like, it's wrong, it's damaging,
Yeah.
it's this, it's that. But I think what you're doing is you're kind of dating in a relationship.
Well,
I dated, like, and, you know...
You
did
serial dated.
Yeah. And that I did that, and I grew and developed and learned who I wanted to be with. But you're doing that together.
And that's beautiful.
It's just a different way of doing it,
It's
isn't
a
it?
different way of doing it, but at the same time, like, why should you break up because of cheating? It's
not cheating, though, is it?
No, I'm just saying. No, it's not in how we.
Oh,
are.
right.
I'm
But
saying
other
in a
people.
monogamous relationship, people break up because of cheating.
Because it's betrayal
And there's a lack of trust, and it's dishonesty.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is actually saying, we have these needs, we have these urges, we have...
Let's be open and honest about them and share them.
Exactly.
And,
As soon as a man stops being honest about, or a woman, about their needs, that's where they get to a point where they cheat, and then how do they mend a broken form of trust? I think in our situation, you know, part of my healing was actually just understanding I'd been pushed beyond my limits.
There was some
That's
trust broken because you were like, I thought it'd end here, and Robbie's end was here, and that wasn't correctly communicated.
Yeah, that was a lack of communication, I guess, or a breakdown in communication, inexperience. That's something Robbie needs to
So then
work.
you felt that betrayal.
Yeah.
And that jealousy.
Exactly.
And it was like, oh.
Yeah. I think where Robbie needs to learn and grow, and he has, and if we applied it again, like, he'd be more in his body and less in his emotions. Like, he'd be more conscious, and he'd be able to say, this is liquid soup of, you know, amazingness, but I still need to show up for my partner in the ways that he needs. And for me, it's just to be more vocal and honest and, you know, steadfast in the things that I'm feeling from the jump. Because that's important in relationships. So, yeah, even though it was hard and very uncomfortable at times,
painful.
I'm happy that we've started on this journey, because now it feels like we've opened Pandora's box and we're ready to do it again, but in a way that's, you know, that is more private and more... do you know what I mean? Like, we still have these emotions.
That you can have control over it.
Exactly.
And set the rules instead of somebody else.
Yeah.
I think that's where it kind of went wrong,
That's
isn't
where
it?
it went wrong. Like, this is the thing. Loads of couples especially end up leaving Made in Chelsea because it's so strenuous on their relationship, because you're put in situations that you don't have full autonomy over. You don't know what will happen on the show.
It's like if you're in a relationship and your partner's sort of developing feelings for someone, or that partner can then go, okay, I need, that person can be like, I need to step away from this situation. In that, you can't, because you work with them. So it's like, and then, you'll do a scene with them. And then things go further and further, and you're just out of control.
This is why I empathise with Robbie, because I know that wasn't necessarily the most natural situation. It was a great situation, and I'm very blessed and honoured to have had a situation like that. But at the same time, like, it's a slippery slope for everybody involved.
I think you have that self-confidence that you can go, hold the hell up. You don't care about earning money. Well, you do, but not to the detriment of everything else in your life. Yeah. And you have good emotional intelligence that you will just go, hell to the fucking no.
But that's the thing.
I am not being pushed there. Whereas not everybody's like that.
No, and some people are hungry to have airtime. Some people are toxic enough just for the airtime. Like, they don't care. Some people are out there being ruthless just for TV, and that's what I can't get behind.
Yeah,
but it's a game. There's cliques within the game. There's people that push certain narratives, and do you know what I mean?
It's the Hunger Games, and we're all here watching.
It is the Hunger Games. That's the thing, and it's like, hold on, I don't need this that bad. Like, I want to be authentic. I don't want to lie.
Yeah, I don't want to make stories up.
No, and that's what you could do. If you really wanted to.
It's probably what people do.
As you listen to my voice, you will feel obliged, obligated, compelled to subscribe, like, and share.
What do you see as the overarching positives of a situation like this?
Of your situation?
Of my situation, like a consensual non-monogamy situation.
I think for the right people, and I think it's important to break down the social norms.
Yes.
That for me is important. It's not for everybody. It wouldn't be for me. No. I'd end up probably in prison, bludgeoning someone to death. And I'd have to go through, I think, months of unpicking lots of shit, because
the bones.
As human beings, our main aim is to fit in with the pack.
Yes.
But the pack, the culture is ever changing. Yeah. And you're further down the line. So for me to get to where you are, there'd be,
Well, we're a subculture, really.
Yeah.
And we, as the gay community, and no, it's not just the gay community.
No,
but there's
straight people do
this. There's straight people that do it. I think we are a minority, and so from the outside looking in, of course people are going to hate, because it's like... Maybe...
I think a lot of straight people will probably be scared to step outside the norm. You've already left the building.
That's the thing. As
so
a gay
you don't
man,
care as much.
The closet, the building, we left it, baby. Yeah. So we don't care. So it's like I've questioned one thing about myself that is against society. Why not question the whole lot?
Yeah.
I'm on a path of questioning every societal role.
I think
within myself.
What is important is critical thinking.
Yes.
And not just being in that tunnel vision of this is the way things are done, this is what's best for everybody. Yeah. It's critical thinking and asking why. Why can't I do that? Why can't I do this?
Yes.
And everybody's, critical thinking is an amazing thing. And when I see people with like, that question things or whatever. Yeah. Even in these groups made in Chelsea, when they're like, he did this and that she did that. And it's groups. Like, you think, have a critical brain. Think about it. Read between the lines.
There's nuances. But it's not black and white.
Yeah, not everybody has that critical mind. No. And it's good that you do and you question things, because you can change culture.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally.
Me and Robbie said we don't want to be martyrs for this culture change. Like, ultimately, our relationship comes first, and we're protecting that.
You can stand up there and go, do you know what? I want to show this.
Yeah.
But if you produced and directed and edited the show, that would be perfect.
Oh,
but
yeah.
you don't.
No, we don't.
So you end up then, you can be martyrs for the cause,
And
which
that's
is
the thing.
something that you obviously
We don't want
to
that.
do.
So we're just protecting our relationship from this point forward and trying to figure things out in a healthy, respectable manner. But I want to thank everybody that is sending us nice messages, because those are nice. When people actually can see the nuance and the forms of communication that it takes. Loads of people are in relationships.
Some people can't take a glimpse at someone else or an upset word
But
or
that's the
anything,
thing.
whereas you're going through it and it is making your roots so much stronger.
Exactly.
you
People
know?
get jealous literally from the man or the woman or the other partner looking at somebody else or them liking a picture. Like, get a grip.
I haven't got that grip. Grip a hammer.
Hold on to something, baby. Please. Are you that insecure?
I am. No, I don't think I'm that bad. But yeah, it's not
But
something...
I see it often. And I'm like, oof, that's not cute, babes.
Yeah.
It's not a cute look. Let your man like a picture like it's not the end of the world. That's what I think. But I'm just different.
Yeah.
But I'm also a lot more free. I'm not shackled. So, yeah, each to their own.
Some people like the shackles.
Yeah, some people do. That's their comfort zone, and I respect that. But it's not for me.